Coming up on The Charge on Air, the Department of Education could soon be dismantled. What could losing it mean for UCF?
The Department of Government Efficiency strikes again, potentially changing classroom dynamics.
And how a recently filed bill regarding firearms on campus has students feeling uncertain about their safety.
In sports, the UCF Formula Club is getting hands-on while it prepares for a special race.
The Charge on Air starts now.
Great job.
Good afternoon and welcome to The Charge on Air. I'm Grace Rodriguez.
I'm Andrew Sookdeo. Today is Friday, March 7th, 2025. President Donald Trump is expected to issue an executive action to facilitate the closure of the Department of Education. Charge on Air reporter Kayla Kissel takes us through what the DOE does and what UCF could look like without it.
Welcome to UCF, home to nearly 70,000 students, groundbreaking research, and endless opportunities. But maybe not in that building, or that one, or even that one. Because without the Department of Education, they'd be closed, and so would the doors for thousands of students who rely on federal aid to be here. Sounds important, right? But do students even know what it does? Do you know anything about what the Department of Education does?
Nope.
No, I do not. That's actually the first time I'm hearing about that department, actually.
No, I do not.
So with all the talk of the Trump administration possibly dismantling the DOE, what does it actually do and what would UCF look like without it? Well, let's break it down. The Department of Education states it distributes over $115 billion in aid every year. According to UCF, 81% of undergraduate students rely on financial assistance and over 30% depend on Pell Grants. Ben Crone, a UCF doctoral student, says financial aid made his education possible.
When I could get need-based aid, Pell Grants, that kind of stuff, scholarships from my schools, that was essential, and I wouldn't have gotten any of my education without access to both.
And he's not alone. Camila Lima, an education major, says she's afraid for the future of her time in college and beyond.
If they're going to do something like that, it shows you how they value education in the U.S. It shows me that they don't really value it.
Think of UCF like an elevator, run by the combined 83,000 students and staff. It's supposed to take you to new heights, but without the Department of Education, there might be only one way to go. So with no new research, trained educators, or financial aid, some students might be leaving college still on the ground floor. Beyond financial aid, UCF states it gets over $200 million in federal research funding each year, driving breakthroughs in engineering, healthcare, and aerospace. Without it, key projects would stall and UCF's research impact would shrink. Then there's the economy. UCF states it pumps $8.1 billion into Florida annually. Fewer students means fewer workers, fewer startups, and a weaker local economy. Local Florida Representative Maxwell Frost was recently barred from physically entering the Department of Education.
We're here to go to the Department of Education to fight for education, and they have locked the doors.
He says that now is the time for young people to get involved.
I would love to say it's all going to be okay, just go about your life. But the reality is we don't know if it's going to be okay. So this is where I say get involved and be an advocate for education.
One thing some people say they can agree on is that
honestly, it's really scary.
It is scary.
It is overall a scary time.
For thousands of students, the real question isn't what comes after graduation. It's whether or not they can afford to be here at all. In Orlando, Kayla Kissel, The Charge on Air.
According to the Education Department, dozens of their employees have been placed on paid administrative leave.
As the Department of Government Efficiency makes its way to the Florida government, Governor DeSantis says he wants to remove ideological studies from state universities. Charge on Air reporter Rain Keenan shows us how this move impacts higher education in Florida.
The Department of Government Efficiency, commonly called DOGE, is a federal agency established by President Donald Trump on his first day in office this year. According to the White House, DOGE was created to act as a watchdog, bringing accountability and transparency to federal spending. Inspired by Trump's initiatives, Governor Ron DeSantis recently announced his plans to create a state DOGE task force. He said one of the first orders of the agency will be auditing all 12 public universities in Florida to rid of any wasteful spending. DeSantis specifically targeted any courses that pertain to ideological studies. However, he did not specify what is considered ideological or which topics will be threatened. Dr. Sean Snaith is the director of UCF's Institute of Economic Forecasting. He says UCF could use some extra cash, but questions if these cuts would actually benefit students.
There's not a lot of excess money sloshing around. I think we've got a very large student population, and we have to struggle to meet their needs, but dictating what classes and so forth should be offered, I don't know that that's something I'm in favor of.
When students step into these classrooms, they expect a well-rounded education, but how much are they truly learning if their current beliefs aren't challenged? It's like using the same color to draw your whole life. Sure, it looks pretty and it might be your favorite color, but how are you ever going to draw the whole rainbow? Without exposure to different topics and human experiences, how are you ever going to appreciate human differences?
Dr. Robert Casanello is an associate professor of history with a focus in the civil rights movement. According to him, DeSantis' motivation is rooted in diminishing the quality of the public education system.
Because if you'll notice, like, what they are prohibiting are things that tend to be critical, things that may induce critical thinking in people, right? It's not so much that they hate universities, they just want universities to make compliant people. Welcome to America.
In Orlando, Rain Keenan, The Charge on Air.
According to Executive Order 2544, Florida's DOE is set to expire next year on March 21st, 2026.
A new bill filed in the Florida Senate would allow students to carry guns on campus. I got to learn more about what this proposal meant to UCF students.
This bill would be a change in gun laws for universities and college campuses in Florida. If it is passed, anyone will be able to carry a gun on campus. State Senator Randy Fine filed Senate Bill 814 on February 18, 2025.
In a press release, he said adults should have the right to protect themselves on campus. He says it will give students the same rights on campus as they have off. John Henley is a political science associate lecturer. He says students are going through a lot in their life and it would cause campus grounds to become unpredictable.
To have weapons in in that mix, I think is a volatile situation in a way that you don't see in other government spaces.
Now what this bill could allow is that it could allow students to carry around a firearm anywhere on campus, including dorms or any places being operated by a campus. I spoke with a recent graduate student and a current student at UCF to hear their thoughts on this bill. The bill also gives the Department of Law Enforcement to have an area at sporting events where you cannot carry a gun. Dominic Andrade is a junior and electrical engineer who says this bill is a slap in the face to our campus police departments.
I don't want to be turned into Swiss cheese when I'm walking around campus. I don't know. And it's kind of almost humiliating, in a sense, to the UCF Police Department. We have a police department on campus. What are they for if we're all just going to bring guns and, protect ourselves?
According to Crime Research Center, there are currently 12 states that allow concealed carry. Christopher Shahid is an alumni who says this bill would increase how often guns would be used on campus.
If you think about it, bringing more guns on campus isn't going to prevent a school shooting or a terrorist attack. What it's going to do is just increase the number of gun-related incidents on campus.
All colleges and universities in Florida would allow anyone to carry guns if this is passed. Similar bills have been filed before, but they have failed to pass. In Orlando, Andrew Sookdeo, The Charge on Air. This bill is going through our current 60-day legislative session, and if it passes, it will go into effect on July 1st, 2025.
Well, if you're not keeping up with the legislative session, something you can keep up with is our nice weather coming up in the next few days.
What's it looking like, Rain?
Well, guys, thanks for asking. We had a little bit of a chilly morning today, but as the day goes on, we can see those temperatures start to rise. So let's go ahead and take a look at our current conditions. Right now, the temperature is sitting at a solid 71 degrees. It's going to heat up a little bit later in the day, but we'll get more on that later. The humidity is at 25% and a 0% chance of rain, a little bit different from what we've had earlier in the week. And another thing that's a little bit different is a 1 mile per hour wind we have, but we'll have more on that later on in the show, okay?
Well, that sounds great. Thank you, Rain. Now, coming up, how the halfway point of the semester is causing some students to experience burnout.
Plus, with International Women's Day tomorrow, we're highlighting an event celebrating the sacrifices and services of women's veterans.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I don't remember how it started. Our back and forth. Victory. Fumble. Repeat. It always came back.
Dad! Okay, here we go, throw it! Yeah.
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Nice.
With students gearing up for midterms, burnout may be inevitable. Our reporter Ethan Cates can give us more to help extinguish that burn.
With the midpoint of the semester around the corner, some students may find it hard to be excited about their education. According to a 2024 Common Sense Media study, more than 27% of teens struggle with burnout. Dr. Chelsea Lenoble is a UCF psychology professor, and she says burnout can look different for everyone.
The way that I experience burnout might not, look entirely different than the way you do. So I'd say that self-awareness in terms of how you handle stress and what stress looks like for you can be a real big key.
Recognizing burnout is just the first step. Learning how to properly manage it is just as important. Without properly managing your stress, it's only a matter of time until you get burnt out. And for students like Carrie Pollock, they say it's hard to find time to breathe.
That's extremely hard, I think, in my mind, with 4 classes and with an internship and a social life and just trying to eat and sleep. It's extremely hard to do all of that and find time to breathe.
Dr. Lenoble says that sometimes asking for help is your best option.
I'd say the other thing too is asking for advice from people who maybe have had experience doing whatever it is that you're trying to pursue. So maybe that's a mentor, maybe that's a professor that you can speak to, but sometimes there's someone who's already done this and can give you advice on how to do it.
For students struggling with burnout, finding healthy coping mechanisms can make a difference. Whether it's seeking support or making time for self-care, small steps can help ease the pressure. In Orlando, Ethan Cates, The Charge on Air.
For more information on how you can deal with stress and burnout, visit UCF Counseling and Psychological Services website for more.
This week, UCF held its 3rd annual event to salute women's veterans. This year's events brought together students, faculty, and veterans to Live Oak Ballroom to celebrate the sacrifice and services of women in the military. It included networking and a formal presentation of colors and speeches from influential women in the veteran community. Cassandra Guzman is Miss Veteran America and a special guest at the event. She shared her thoughts on the legacy of women in the military and why it is so important to keep honoring their contributions.
Oh my goodness, it has been one of the
biggest accomplishments of my life, aside from probably meeting my amazing husband. Miss Veteran America, being able to be crowned title holder and support my homeless women veterans and their children has just been a wonderful journey, and I'm just so humbled to be able to represent women veterans on a national scale.
UCF continues to recognize and support women veterans through events like this, ensuring their service and sacrifices are never forgotten.
UCF hosted the annual American Statistical Association's Florida chapter meeting this year. I got to explore the impact the chapter meeting had on students and research. UCF participated in the annual American Statistical Association's Florida chapter meeting. This brought researchers, scientists, and academics from across the state to present their latest findings. PhD students like Birkin Sookdeo felt the impact of what it's like to meet other experts from across the state and be recognized for their work.
It was really honoring to get an award this early, and it also shows that, oh, I need to work harder. This also kind of pushes to, I need to do more.
5 UCF students won an award for student presentation, which signifies distinction in their areas of research. Josh White is another PhD student who won an award at this meeting.
Working through the research for as long as you work through it, sometimes you feel a little bit beat down. So it's definitely uplifting.
This is the Teaching Academy, where the 5 UCF Knights were recognized in their presentations and research on topics surrounding medicine, such as medicine technology and disease prevention. Xinseng Huang, who goes by Beal at UCF, is an associate professor in statistics and data science who is proud to have brought the meeting to UCF on behalf of the College of Sciences.
Okay, we are doing very good quality research, and other students, they also can feel it. So I think it's good. I think this one is profound and has the impact, although we don't see it, but I think the impact in their heart, in their mind.
Overall, the event welcomed 80 guests, most of which were from Florida, and this was the first time in several years that ASA's Florida chapter meeting was held on UCF campus. In Orlando, Grace Rodriguez, The Charge on Air. Next year's meeting date and location are yet to be announced per ASA's website. So we were seeing some rain earlier this week, but the weekend is looking pretty nice for Central Florida, don't you think?
Plus, stay with us as we dive into a successful senior night game for the men's basketball team.
We'll be right back.
Anything different from when I was 3 or 4 years old. I did tough things. I thought everybody needed to do tough things, and if you didn't, I didn't have time for it. I had a very successful career at a very young age, and life was fast. I was preparing physically. I wasn't doing anything mentally on the inside. And then I got hurt. I wanted to be better as a person, and I really dug into mental health. I start my day with 20-minute workouts. I live life 8 seconds at a time.
Horses are so therapeutic. They know what you're feeling. When you're nervous, they're nervous. You won't say it back, but we're pals.
I take a lot of responsibility in taking care of my kids, my family, and being there for them. You're gonna have tough days. Everybody does. Find a place to stop and just breathe. Love your mind.
Love is a lesson that doesn't end. It knows no conditions, so you better buckle in. Love keeps you on your toes. It never stops, only grows. Love isn't easy. It's a commitment, especially when they're being their most resistant. Love is being prepared for the journey ahead. Love doesn't let any concerns go unsaid. Love is finding the right seat so you can take a breath. But remember, love isn't lax. It always double checks. Check that your kids are in the right seat at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Love protects.
Welcome back, everyone.
It's time to check in with student meteorologist Derek Centrone from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University for a look at the national forecast.
We did see some quieter weather yesterday. That pattern's not expected to continue through this weekend into next week. We already have some snow up over the Rockies, and this is going to continue all the way through the Central Plains, eventually making its way out over to the Mid-Atlantic region. A secondary low is expected to form and push its way across the northern mountains of Arizona and New Mexico, bringing some more snow into those areas by the end of the weekend. These are some of the values we can expect as these lows move through and bring some snow in. The northern mode looking like about 7 inches and as much as a foot up in the northern mountains of Arizona. While snow is not the only thing that we could expect from these systems, though, we do have some rain that's expected to push out along the southern Gulf Coast, eventually making its way out and making way for some very, very nice high pressure. And how that could impact Florida, over to you at UCF for our local weather.
Thanks, Derek.
Now let's jump to Rain Keenan for our look at our local weather this week.
Thanks, guys. And let me tell y'all something. It is going to be a beautiful day we have ahead of us today. As you can see, this trend going on right now, we got 70s all around the state. Starting in the heart of Florida, we are looking at Orlando at a 76 degrees. If you're heading north today, you're gonna hit Leesburg, and that's at 74. If you're heading up to Gainesville, you're gonna hit 73 degrees. But if you're gonna go to the beach up there later today, we're gonna see a 71 degree today. If you're heading down south to go to the beach in Melbourne, you're gonna see 72 degrees. And if you're heading west, maybe hitting the Strawberry Festival before it ends up closing up this weekend, you're gonna hit Winter Haven at 75, and Tampa is also at a solid 75 degrees. So now let's go ahead and take a look at our 5-day forecast. As you can see, this weekend it's gonna be heating up a little bit. But once Monday rolls around, we're gonna have that higher chance of rain. The cooler temperatures are gonna come, and that's gonna lead into the rest of the week. At night, if you're gonna head to the Central Florida Fair, make sure to bring a jacket because it's gonna get a little chilly at night. As you can see, we have a beautiful week ahead of us in general. Clearly, we're looking ahead to some great weather, but that's all I got for y'all for now. Back to you two at the desk.
Thanks, Rain. I can tell we're having a great weekend. Now up next, we're looking back at a successful UCF basketball senior night.
Plus, the clock is ticking as the UCF Formula Club prepares for its 25th anniversary. We'll be right back.
That was great.
Prediabetes does. One in 3 adults has prediabetes, and you could be one of them. There are usually no signs for prediabetes, so it's important to understand your risk. With early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed, and you can change the outcome. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test today. Go to doihaveprediabetes.org.
For decades, I've taught you everything I know. How to safely build a fire. How to control the flames. What to do with hot coals. How to secure your chains. But I can only teach wildfire prevention. Only you can prevent wildfires.
right now.
Welcome back to the Charge on Air. I'm Ruby Merced. Let's alley-oop into sports. On Wednesday, the UCF men's basketball team beat the Oklahoma State Cowboys 83-79 on senior night. Darius Johnson, Debu Coleman, and Benny Johnson were all celebrated before the game for their commitment to the UCF family. But the victory came on Johnson's back, who exploded for a sheer high 36 points in a comeback win for the Knights.
I'm super excited, ecstatic. Honestly, I feel like I left a footprint here at UCF. It's rare to see guys stay at a university for 4 years, and to leave here, and come back one day and remember I had 36 on my senior night. Last time I played in this building, it's going to be a great story to tell.
Formula Club builds a race car every year, but this year marks something special for the group. Charge on Air reporter Manuela Salinas tells us why.
In UCF's Formula Club shop, the wheels might not be spinning just yet, but the students, they are charging full speed ahead, building their next speed machine from scratch. This year marks the club's 25th anniversary, and with it comes a brand new race car, built to run in the Formula Michigan competition. But getting to the starting line isn't easy, as Hugo Bassi, UCF Formula president, says it's a year-long grind.
The summer, start designing, reiterating off the previous car, so looking how it performed, how we can improve it. So finish up all that design around September, and the fall semester is most of the preparation and planning, ordering parts, organizing how we're going to build the car, and then winter break in spring is when we manufacture the cars.
This might not look like a car yet, but every piece is getting distant closer to the finish line. And the best part, it's all built by students, giving them the chance to take what they learn in class and turn it into real hands-on experience. And speaking of hands-on experience, that's exactly what mechanical engineering student Riley Ching has been getting.
Real industry. Just going to classes teaches you the math, but being able to get hands-on and see what your designs do, how they affect the people who have to manufacture them, and seeing how they work in the real world has really been beneficial.
And beyond the experience, there's an unmatched satisfaction in seeing their creation come to life. Mechanical engineering student Isaac Assel added that beyond the experience is the excitement of seeing their creation come to life.
Really just makes you happy because it's all the work that's culminated throughout the year, and it just comes all together in one nice car.
The team is racing against the clock to finish their car with the big reveal set for April, where, as they say, we can expect plenty of black and gold. Until then, these students engineers will keep the gears turning and their sights set on the track. In Orlando, Manuela Salinas, The Charge on Air.
That's all the sports updates we have for now. Thanks for watching.